Hey guys, Peshman Gadimi here, back with another exotic car hacks car review. And today we are reviewing my brand new 2018 Performante Spyder. Now you may have seen me in my previous video where I put my Performante Coupe against a 570S and then did a review of the Performante Coupe, calling it incredible and then still giving the realm to the 570S. Now today, however, things have changed. I've owned the Performante now for a good 7 months. And I just picked up this Spyder. And so I'm very familiar now as an owner with the Performante and have quite a lot to share. First off, with the coupe itself, it was an incredible car. But today we're gonna talk specifically about the Spyder from an owner's perspective, because many of you will probably want at some point or another to upgrade your coupe into a Spyder. So let's talk about why the Performante Spyder works and where it fails. So on the surface, you can see this is a 2018 Performante Spyder with just about every single option possible. This was the actual demo that was sent to the entire East Coast. There was 300 miles on it when I picked it up, and it has every option possible, from dynamic steering to everything else. And the only thing that's, again, a smaller premium option is the white paint, which is the pearl white instead of the matte white. But otherwise, there's also a lower white, so there's three shades of white. On the surface, on the outside, it may look a little bit different than other Performantes because I've actually upgraded the car with a set of ADV1 wheels, and I've also put a set of Velocity AP springs on it, giving it a very, very perfect look. And really, the only thing I think right on the surface a Performante needs, especially because it's such an incredible car. But come over and let me show you a little bit more about how this Spyder differs a little bit from the coupe, what you gain and what you lose. So first off, you can really clearly see the top isn't as attractive as a coupe, and obviously every soft top convertible doesn't give that same essence unless the top is down. We're gonna see that and get to go to another drive, but before we do, just take a look here at the back, because there's some significant differences that work and don't work on the back of it. You still retain all the forged carbon, the wing and everything else, but you lose the engine bonnet, which allows you to get a clear view of the gold engine, and that in itself is a big downside of the car itself, because it doesn't look as incredible from the back. But the one thing that does work is while you lose the engine, you get these gigantic vents on the back that give it a very, very aggressive look. And this is where the ALA system in this particular car comes in, retaining kind of the full aerodynamic of what you get with the coupe. Now, other than that, the car itself remains pretty intact. Same carbon forging, same flag. And again, I think the two-tone here works really well. And on the outside, we opted for this piece in black as an option, which is an option. And we decided, because the car was white, to retain the flag to give it like a really good look with the white. So on the surface, the Spyder is very similar to the coupe, minus the roof and the hatch. But it's really in the drive where a lot of the things really change. So let's go and start talking about how does the coupe compared to the Spyder, what makes the Spyder better, and if the drive itself is really the same or very different. Let's go. All right guys, so inside the car, there's really no notable change between the coupe and the actual Spyder, except for the fact that the Spyder obviously has a shorter seat frame. Now, part of the reason is because right here, you end up getting this wall that is right behind instead of that little compartment which was in the coupe. So it gives you a lot less leg room. And that's okay because I'm very short, but if you are a little bit taller, it can be uncomfortable. Now, this particular part right here with the roof up seems really fine, but again, as a small person, this works. As a taller individual, I could see why the frame would kind of get in the visibility of the car. Other than that, the forged carbon continues inside, looks beautiful. This particular car is equipped with what we call the dark shadow option, which means that all the switches are like dark chrome instead of plastic, and really completes the look a lot better than I ever expected. Now, you can also see a cup holder here, which again is an optional $2,000. And outside of that, the car remains pretty much intact. Now, the whole thing with the Spyder in comparison to the coupe really comes down to this one option. So let's turn it on and let me show you what it is. Still sounds just as good, right? So when we put the actual top down on the actual Spyder, we use this great little button here. Now, this can take about 17 seconds to go down. So it does take a little bit of time to actually go down. A little bit longer than we'd like it to versus a Turbo S, which is a couple of seconds faster. But once we really open it up, it gets a lot more exciting, right? And there's two things that Lamborghini has done really well to compensate for what happens once you actually put the top down. So the first one is that you lose a lot of the music, obviously, because you can now hear the outside, and so the audio is now upgraded with this new Sensonium optional stereo system, which is, I think, $5,000, and it's a really good sound system for such a small cabin. So that works wonderful. The other point that you really get with the Spyders, outside of the beautiful top being down, is that now the experience is 100% amplified. And what I mean by that is, we're gonna take a little drive and you're gonna hear and feel everything I'm seeing here as to why the Spyder just makes the experience so much fun. Ready to go? Let's roll. So the good news with the Performante is that you retain the 3 modes you retain in the coupe, which is the Strada, the actual Sport, and then the Corsa. Now with the Strada, obviously you can drive around town in automatic. It also doesn't make that much noise. It's still exciting, but the throttle response is very, very weak compared to Sport or Corsa. Now with Sport, you still have the computer willing to do the shifts for you, but Corsa completely deletes everything and makes it a true sports car, completely uncontrolled when it comes to transmission. But as you can see, we're still in Strada right now, and you're still getting decent sound just because the top's down, but it's nothing exciting, right? And so as we get here on the highway, you're gonna get a good feel for the big difference in between the two. Now, one option that I will say I had on my coupe that I truly miss, is this steering wheel on the coupe I had spec'd it in leather, and so I didn't have this suede thing. And the suede thing is cool looking, but it's really annoying because over time it's gonna get really dull. And in general, it doesn't feel as nice and as solid as leather. But this particular car is equipped with 2 options that my blue one didn't have: dynamic steering and MagRide. Magnetic ride and dynamic steering, which are about a $4,000 combined option. I'm gonna go to Sport now so you can hear the difference. You already feel the pitch being higher. But as you get with the actual as you play with the modes, you get, the amplified experience. But like I was saying, with the MagRide and the actual dynamic steering, it's really an incredible performance car. The one thing that MagRide does that the coupe didn't have, and as a reason, I originally thought, okay, $3,000, why would I spend it on that? But the main thing that MagRide allows you to do that the coupe didn't without the MagRide is to lower the car. Since I knew I wanted to lower this particular car, because I knew that I wanted to add wheels to it, it would have looked odd without the drop. It just made sense to get the MagRide option because that's the only way you can really lower these, because all the spring sets from Novitec or Velocity AP, this has Velocity AP on it, which I cannot recommend enough. I mean, they're unbelievable springs. They're progressive, they retain the same ride quality, if not better. It just amplifies the car without actually destroying it. But we'll talk about that too in a moment. But in general, though, keep in mind that with the MagRide, you're able to then lower the car by adding springs, which aren't available for non-MagRide cars. Dynamic steering, on the other hand, is really cool because as you go through the different modes, the car responds differently to your driving, and it makes it a little bit fun. It's not as bad as some people make it out to be, which, if you're driving in the city, it's not as bad even if you're driving in sport mode. You can already hear it, but before we get to the highways, you can really hear the engine. Just listen to this. Just looking at basically even something along the lines of basically audio. I just want you to hear this because it's just amazing. Even though you can hear all the engine, you get a really clear vibe for very crisp audio, which is really nice. Nothing ever comes without a consequence, and cost tell me, will the stars align? Will heaven step in, will it save us from a sin, will it? Cause this house of mine stands strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another today. See, you get a really good feel for it. It sounds incredible even with the engine up. And that's my point here. With the Spyder, you get this amplified driving experience that just does not exist with the coupe. because you just hear and feel everything. And one of the key things I've always said about the Performante is it is by far the funnest and greatest exotic I've ever owned. Now, the price point makes it a little bit hard to digest with this car being spent at $360,000. That's an additional $40,000 above the coupe. But then you got to think about it. Who cares when you have this? Listen to this. It's fucking unbelievable, right? Absolutely unbelievable. It's fast. It's amazing how loud it is. And it just keeps getting more and more exciting as you drive. No matter the gear, you just feel like a race car driver. It's just unbelievably fun. And I think my conclusion here from driving both the coupe and having owned the coupe for 7 months and now having owned this car for about a month is that it's not that it's a better or worse car, it's just a funner car. The experience is more fun, the auxiliary like power and sound and feel is more intense, and as a result you just get a more balanced and fun car to own on the streets. Now, before someone argues me out that obviously it's not as good of a track car, I'm sure that the coupe is a better track car, but I don't think people are buying Spyders in the hopes of tracking them on a daily basis or winning championships. People buy Lamborghini Spyders to have fun with them. People drive Lamborghini coupes to have fun with them. And I think if you're not a track junkie and going to track every other day, you're going to come to realize that it's just as fun, if not 10 times more fun, to have the ability to put the top down. Now, I think of my Lamborghinis this way. I have a whole range of exotic cars, so I don't just own a Lamborghini. And for me, having one Lamborghini Performante instead of two makes more sense. And if I had to choose one, I would choose the Spyder because it's obviously more fun, and because, again, listen to this. It's just unbelievable, right? Like every gear you actually feel the tires chirping. It's like just unheard of. So this is pretty much what owning a Performante Spyder is. It is more fun than the coupe. I would recommend it to anyone who owns a coupe who's not so OCD to have to watch the car in their garage with the top down. Realistically, I can tell you, I will never drive this car with the top up. I just won't. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. It's not as fun, and honestly, the design is not as hot to make it worthwhile driving it that way. But for those moments when you want to go out for just 1 second and have some fun, it just makes so much more sense to be able to do this. It's just so amazing, and I think you just can't get enough of the noise, can't get enough of the actual driving experience. And I think every one of you should, at the very least, get a chance to experience this at some point in your life or not. Let's talk values real quick, and then as a result of it, we can actually see if it makes more sense to get into a coupe or a Spyder from a money standpoint. But I'm also going to point something else out, because I never like to drive this car with the top up, but we're going to do that for a second because I just want to show you something really cool. Previously, you always had to be completely stopped with Lamborghinis to put the top up, which makes sense because obviously you don't want to be driving putting the top up with a car. But with this car, now if you're below 30 miles an hour, you can actually put the top up, which is pretty cool. So we're driving and now we're putting the top up right about 30 miles an hour. It'll still do it about 35, I think, which is really cool. And then it comes down, and then there you go, and the windows go up. Now, visibility is still pretty good actually with the top up. It's not as bad as most convertibles, which makes it really still usable even with the top up. So if you have a rainstorm, you're not going to struggle like an Aventador or a Murcielago, which made it impossible to see the side. And cabin noise is very, very down when you're actually, similar to the coupe, it's very, very down when you're actually driving. Right now I'm in Strada and we can barely hear the engine. It's nothing. We can go to automatic, and now we're driving a normal car. We can barely hear anything. We can actually hear ourselves have a conversation. And this is my point, is that it's docile, it's usable, it's very, very fashionable with the top down, and it's exciting. And even with the top up, I, as someone who's very critical of exotics, will tell you, it doesn't look as good as the coupe, but a normal person will still lose their shit the moment they see this car, and it gets a lot of attention, a lot of attention, which makes it super, super nice. Even if you have to put the top up for a second because it's raining. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys this so you can kind of understand. Now the back window does go up and down. if you wanted some air in the car, or you wanted to drop the windows and still get the feel or the audio ultimately from the engine in the back. But in general, you know, I would recommend buying a Spyder over a coupe, except for we really don't know where the values of the Spyders are going. I mean, we've seen the coupe come out, and I drove my blue Glauco Performante. I paid $318,000 for the car. That was the sticker. I didn't get a single discount. I spec'd the car to a beautiful, very unique color. And then I sold the car after 7 months and 3,000 miles for $4,000 less. So if you think about that's less than $300 a month driving a $300,000 car, which I think is mind-boggling. Only in America is something like this even an option, right? So I thought that was unbelievable, and I thought that was a deal worth taking. So I let the car go, and I immediately went and picked up the Spyder. Now, there's no units on the floor yet. That we're doing this video, it's about August. There's no units supposed to be arriving except customer orders, and they're not meant to be arriving like with any units left to actually spec or change specs of until somewhere around December, which means that if you haven't already spec'd one, you're going to be waiting 6 to 8 months. So for that reason, I felt safer in a Spyder for the next 6 to 8 months. But with the coupe, dealers are already paying 20 to 25K below sticker for brand new cars, and about 30K below sticker on used cars. This means that unless you have a competitive advantage with a car that's extremely crazy colored, like my blue Glauco was, or a purple Monte like Dr. M3's Performante, then you're going to be in a losing position in the next 6 months in a Performante coupe. There's more inventory on the market, there's continuous inventory, and as a result of it, you have seen some cars selling between 280 and 300K pretty regularly. This means that people are going to be buying these cars cheaper in the next 6 months. However, with the Spyder, recently there was an eBay auction for a Spyder with a 10K lower sticker than this one that ended up selling in one day for 390K, which was 40K over sticker. This leads me to believe that the lack of units on the ground, just like the blue Glauco, will create somewhat of an additional demand for someone who doesn't want to wait that long. I've clocked about 800 miles on this so far, 500 my own, 300 from the dealership, and I can tell you that while I missed my blue Glauco car because it was such an incredible color and not this boring white color, I can also tell you that the white is equally loved by people, even if not myself, and this particular spec with the convertible top has resonated very, very well with people on the street and everywhere else. So if you're considering a Performante, I do think that the extra $40,000 between the coupe and the Spyder is pretty worth it. I think the actual difference is like $30,000 if you don't account the option differences I had. But it just means that, you know, for $30,000 more, you get a better experience. And when I think of that, I think, why would you not want the better experience when you're already spending so much money buying such an incredible car? Now, I will stand by my word that the Performante is the greatest Lamborghini ever built to date, the most fun, the most user-friendly, and more importantly, the most driving specific car I have yet to witness from Lamborghini. Now, I recently test drove a GT3 RS, which wasn't as incredible because it just didn't feel as stable. And I'll leave you with this. It's unbelievable that we're in a time where a Lamborghini feels more confident and more stable than a Porsche GT. I think that's pretty crazy to say. And I think that in general, I'm pretty pleased with not just the car as a convertible, the car overall. And I think that anyone who's in the market for a really sick exotic should consider the Performante or the Performante Spyder as one of their key cars, because, you know, I think that this is by far probably the best bet out there. Okay guys, so hopefully you've enjoyed this review of the Performante Spyder. Now, I can't stress enough, look at how beautiful this thing looks. It's probably by far, like I said, one of the best exotics out there. But one last tip for those of you that are watching as owners, if you do choose to lower the car on Velocity AP springs or no VTEC springs, remember that the front lift will most likely fail, and you'll need a set of what you call ghost links. That's something that took me literally like hours to try to figure out why it kept failing. But ghost links allow you to literally adjust the lift height for less than $100. So it's just the best way to go. Just call Ghost Motorsports. You can just Google them and get yourself a set of links if you're gonna lower your Performante so you don't have any failures. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to this channel so you can keep seeing more hacks on how to get in and out of exotics, but also a lot of car reviews and of course, a lot of discussions about how to be dealers at their own game. So subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and I'll catch you next time on another Exotic Car Hacks video.